Good morning. We'll call the Wednesday morning, July 14th, 2021 meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee to order. Start with roll call.
Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. Long?
Present.
Mr. Lear?
Present.
Mr. Snipes? Ms. Peters?
Present.
Ms. Parker?
Present.
Mr. Fairfield?
Present.
Mr. Carrico? Mr. Eckhoff?
Present.
Mr. Swanson? Mr. Kirkstrad? Mr. Hunter?
Present.
Mr. Collins? Mr. Kenneth Smith?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler?
Present.
Mr. Searoy? We have a quorum.
Thank you. I have no request for public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Any public comment? Moving on, the minutes are not ready yet. Chief Judge, not here. Circuit Clerk, Sandy Cianci. In your package, you have a copy of Sandy's monthly report. Take a motion to approve by Mr. Fairfield, second by Mr. Long. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning. Good morning in live. I haven't been to one of these meetings yet since the pandemic. So the reports are usual and customary for the cash book, all the transactions that we've done through the month. The state's attorney collection report is, well, we've already surpassed what the total was for the whole year of last year with the state's attorney collection, so that's excellent news. And then the Harris and Harris reports, we've turned over 620 cases this year so far, and the total that we could collect is $338,350. Then on the local debt recovery program, we brought in $85,401 this last month for a total of $840,770, which we're closing in on our annual total for last year. So we're doing really well at this point for that report. So that's all I have for that.
Any questions on the report? Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So what I've been doing this last month is I've gone through the cases scheduled calendars for each courtroom, and it's not complete yet. I've done this year, last year, and I'm in the middle of 2019, and it's been determined that right now we're at approximately 30% caseload added to what we have been doing because of the COVID cases. What happened was when we were on the shutdown, we had to continue all those cases. So somebody had to go into the computer and put minutes on each of those cases and then move it to another court date, which was 3 months out. Well, in a lot of these courtrooms, there was already a full calendar 3 months out. So then it caused a double court call in traffic. There was a day there was like 600 cases, that kind of a thing. So, so that's what we're getting the numbers for. And I sent it to Jasmine too. She's got a copy of this. She came by last week, Jasmine, yeah, and got a good tour of the office to see what goes on. What's coming up for our office, the governor is lifting the eviction and foreclosure moratorium. The end of this month we're supposed to get the directives, but I think it should be cut loose at the end of this month. So we're already seeing the traction of the landlords coming in trying to determine when they can start filing their cases and things. So we're going to have a barrage of eviction cases and foreclosures. We have judges that have retired and are switching court calls, and so for a couple of weeks we're going to have a lot of chaos with that going on as well. Hopefully by the end of the month we'll have more final directions for that. Then we got notice that the Supreme Court is lifting the moratorium on the speedy trial demand rules, and that's for the felony cases and mostly will affect the people that are in custody, but it will also affect anybody that wishes to place reactivate their speedy demand trial. And when Jim is able to talk about that, he can talk more about what that's going to happen, but that'll be for October 1st. So we're trying to gear up for that as well. The expungements are on a continual rise. The record searches and background checks and title searchers. With the housing boom, the trickle effect with that is people are needing to get the probate records and the foreclosure records and things like that from our office so that they can follow the trail of these homes and developments. And so when we're behind, they're behind. So that's another issue that we're always busy with. And then the tax cases, the take notice cases that are coming back. When we have the county tax collector, which is not our Nick Africano, it's an attorney from Southern Illinois, and he takes these cases to court. And one of my clerks the other day processed a $10,000 check. She had to go into the certified mail program and print out it was over 670 certified mail receipts. The attorneys do most of the work, but we still have to do the certified mail part. So she had to process a $10,000 check in one day, because when we get one check, because of our accounting system, we have to close the books at the end of the day, and the whole check has to be processed, and it can only be on one person's cash book. So she had to get over 600 certified mails done on top of everything else she does. And then when the certified mail comes back, then we have to put it all back in the cases. So Jasmine and Carol Weber came to take a tour, and they were amazed at just that one desk and what that person does. So that's my story today.
Questions? Mr. Hunter.
Sandy, with all due respect, you mentioned that you guys are gearing up for the evictions. Do you ever interface with other circuit clerks throughout the state to find out what they're doing in terms of innovative methodologies and procedures?
We talk every week, my zone. Every county does it their own different way. They have different programs. We have the chief judge and the trial court administrator. They're the ones coordinating the efforts for the. There's like a program to assist people with these evictions, so not only the landlords but the people that are being charged with the evictions. So there's going to be an extra process, and yes, we are gearing up for that, but every county is different.
What innovative steps are you taking in anticipation of being a deluge of evictions?
Well, mostly it's waiting to see how much is going to come in. We have some filers that are not computer savvy, so they want to file over the counter, and then the ones that are computer savvy will have to have somebody at the desk just doing nothing but receiving that filing and opening up all those cases. It's just going to be a barrage of work.
Given that circumstance that you just articulated, how might you remediate that issue? In terms of, is there something else that you can do on the front end in terms of having that stuff done downstairs, or what?
No, I mean, once we have to wait until it comes in, and then we process the paperwork as it comes in. So we wouldn't know on day one if 2 people are going to file, or 50 people are going to file, or 100 people are going to file. We know that we have a lot of people at the gate just waiting to, they've been asking us monthly since the moratorium was placed, and then they've become proactive on their own and checking out the websites and things and keeping up on it themselves. But at the beginning it was really hard to tell all these people coming in, we can't take your filing because it'll go nowhere.
I would concur with you regarding being inundated with evictions, because I know, for example, city of Kankakee, more than 50% of the housing stock is rental. Mm-hmm. And you hear landlords complain all the time about this issue. But all I'm saying is that you say you talk with your peers weekly. Maybe there's something that they're going to be doing in anticipation of this that may assist you. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Mr. Collins?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
I've heard a lot of people that I'm friends with in the local law enforcement, as well as just community members that have thrown a lot of anticipated numbers of evictions that we intend on having here soon. Is there any ballpark number that you can give us on what we're looking at countywide?
No, my office hasn't shared that with me.
If you had to say like more or less than 1,000 evictions, would you be able to guess more or less?
I would probably say that's a good number.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, state's attorneys. Nobody? We have a copy of the grand jury report and the grand jury statistic report. We'll take a motion to approve it. Mr. Eckhoff, second by Ms. Peters. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public Defender's Office. Yep. In your package, you have a copy of the Public Defender's Office. We'll take a motion to approve. Mr. Long, second by Mr. Snipes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Becky Cellini. I'm an assistant public defender. Mr. Pennewick is out of town, so he asked me to pitch it for him today. I'm really happy to be here. I mean, I'm happy to entertain any questions that you have, but I would kind of echo a little bit of what Sandy said. The COVID stuff has kind of wreaked quite a bit of havoc on the courthouse, and there's a huge backlog of cases all over the place. We've been trying to get through them. We've had some juries go. I think that it's just going to be a while before we can get caught up. So, and we've also had, I do juvenile cases, so we've had a lot of increase in juvenile crime, I hate to say. Some serious gun cases and things like that, which has really caused a lot of consternation between us and juvenile probation trying to figure out what to do. But we keep muddling away. Is there any questions about the public defender?
None? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay.
Anything else for us?
I don't think so. Hopefully, though, we're gonna turn a corner on this stuff soon. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Hopefully it's going back to school in person.
I think that's gonna be a big help. I do. And the state attorney's office has developed quite a few programs to try to keep them busy, get them engaged in things. And again, I just hope that we can get them back in school and off the street and somehow get the guns out of their hands. Because I have way more gun cases than I've ever had before. So I think we all know that, you hear about it all the time, the gunshots and investigations. I don't have an answer for it. I just know as a juvenile defender, that's what I'm seeing.
I think if they felt
Janice, use your mic, please.
Thank you. I think if they felt more safe, they wouldn't go out and find guns. So, but
Yeah. I think it's very hard to convince them. I have discussions with my clients all the time about how having a gun makes you more at risk than not having a gun, but you cannot convince them of that. Part of it is they're teenagers. When you were a teenager, did you listen to anything that other people said? Not likely. I think the increased violence is a cycle. It's a circle of more shootings, so more kids are afraid, so more kids get guns, so then there are more shootings, and then more kids get guns. And I like I said, don't really have an answer for it. I just know since I've been there, I've never had as many kids charged with having guns as I have in the last 60 days. And there was 1 week where I think I probably had 4 or 5 kids that were arrested for having weapons. So again, I don't have an answer for it. That's part of the. I kind of thought it might be part of COVID, but I don't know that it is. But it makes the resources we have continue to be strained. I mean, this all affects circuit clerk has way more than they can handle. Judges have huge calls. Public defenders have huge lists. The jail has a lot of people. I mean, it's this kind of domino effect where everybody is really being strained as to, what they can do and how much they can handle.
Mr. Snipes.
Can you, I don't know if you would actually have the answer to the question, but have we ever asked these juveniles where they're getting these guns from? Because I do know that they cannot get them from individuals that are licensed to sell.
Right.
So if they, and if we do find out that they're, because I know you're on the other end of this, but, and I guess it would have been also for Jim, I believe we can go after, if they would divulge that, then we can go after those individuals for a crime of selling it. I'm just wondering if, has there been any any type of concerted effort to?
Well, and I can say yes, but I also know that they usually won't say. They can tell me in confidence. I mean, I'm their attorney, so I wouldn't be able to divulge it. They won't tell me. And I know the police ask, all the interrogations I've seen, they ask every single time, where'd you get it? Many of the guns are defaced, so they can't trace them, which then is another charge. So that's probably a better question for law enforcement. Like, do they have leads as to where the guns are coming from? I had a couple of cases where we knew where they came from, like family, like if you have grandma that has a gun and that, you can go to grandma's house and get it. But I would say 95% of the time they have no, I think they're asking and they're trying to find out where they're coming. My paperwork doesn't say, so the sheriff's department may have open investigations as to people bringing them in, or I don't know, because we've had that discussion before about where are they coming from, but it's above my pay grade.
I was just thinking it was part of a plea. They can say, if you give us this information.
Yeah, they're never going to say. If I were to tell them that their plea is contingent upon them saying where the gun came from, they would never plea. There is a code of silence here that is pretty impenetrable.
Okay.
Mr. Smith, use your microphone, kid.
I was wondering how many of these cases are first-time offenders.
I've had both. I of the last several, I've had 2 or 3 maybe that were new, that had never had previous involvement whatsoever with the criminal justice system, which I always thought was amazing, that you go from nothing to carrying a gun. And then I've had some that had been either previous, either on probation or maybe have had smaller offenses. So I think it can be both.
What was that age group, would you say?
14 or 15 up to 17. I mean, I'm trying to think. I know I've had some 15-year-olds. I can't remember if I've had a 14-year-old. Lots of 16, 17.
Mr. Collins.
Hello, good morning, and nice to meet you. I don't want to put you on the spot as much as I would love to put Jim on the spot, just because I enjoy talking with him so much. But a couple questions. So you pointed out that having a gun in your possession makes you much more likely to be the victim of a crime or involved in a crime. Is that correct?
That's my personal.
I'm going to throw some numbers at people here, just so the sake of you having a chance to write it down. According to CDC.gov, defensive use of firearms saves up to an estimated 2.5 million lives a year, with the low end of that being 60,000 lives that owning guns saves every year. In 2018, there were 39,707 firearm-related deaths, and of those, 23,941 were suicides. So according to the CDC's own statistic, owning firearms actually saves more lives than it takes. Now, obviously, I think that it's terrible for us to have guns in the hands of children, But should we be looking at honoring our Second Amendment here in the county and encouraging people to protect themselves and arm themselves, especially when the burden on law enforcement is as incredible as it is right now, and we talk about our horribly overloaded caseloads, which kind of brings me to my next point. If we have such a backlogged criminal justice system here, theoretically speaking, just amongst people with hearts, have we considered, or could we legally consider going in and say, looking at our 4,000 traffic cases and saying any of these that do not involve any victim, can we just dismiss them, all 4,000 of them, and maybe focus our efforts on more pressing issues and make sure that people are guaranteed their constitutional right to a speedy trial? And as Jim mentioned recently, we know that people are taking plea deals just to avoid sitting in jail to wait for a trial. So if we were to maybe get that backlog of 4,000 just traffic cases, I would just ignorantly assume that 90% of them involve are victimless crimes, speeding tickets, turn signals, that sort of thing. Have we considered just saying, hey, we are incompetent to process all of these cases as a justice system. We need to pick and choose what battles we're going to fight and drop all of those? Is that something we could legally do?
Well, I mean, as far as that goes, absolutely. I mean, I'm the wrong side of the coin for that. That's a Jim Rowe question, because Jim Rowe he has the prosecutorial discretion to dismiss whatever he wants. If he wants to dismiss, a victim, or, like you said, some of the traffic cases, he can. I know in the juvenile courtroom, his office has been very helpful. There have been a lot of juvenile cases that I've been able to either get dismissed or plea or send them to teen court if they were minor offenses. So, from my perspective, they do try to weed through so that we have time to address the more serious cases. But that is an excellent question to ask Jim Rowe, because that's all in his pocketbook.
I would also just
hang on. Let me we're getting into a gray area, Jake.
Sure.
We're getting into a gray area. Mr. Rowe's not here to defend anything, and that. Yeah. We're done with this conversation.
No, I would just like to add that when thinking about what I just said, you can't cut me off.
Yes, I did. I can. I have the authority to cut you off. I don't want to get into involvement when there's nobody here from the state's attorney's office to voice their opinion on the other side.
I'm not asking for an answer.
No, that's it. We're done with this conversation. Mr. Hunter, did you have a question for something else?
Well, yeah, and the stats which she gave regarding
microphone. Steve.
Sorry. The stats that she gave regarding teenagers in possession of guns is really amazing, and one only has to reflect on what happened last week over on Merchant Street. Yesterday about 10:30, I live in Marycrest, and shots rang out. I said, I know damn well that they're still not shooting firecrackers, Then I said, no, I'm a hunter, so I know what guns sound like. Point I want to make is, I know Kankakee City does not have juvenile officers as they formerly did prior to the last administration. And I'm not sure what Passwater will be doing, but my point is this. Deputy Chief Willie Hunt is now over security for School District 111. And I was wondering at this point, do you think, and this is not germane to you because you don't make these decisions in terms of them establishing a juvenile division in Kankakee City. I'm not sure what they do in terms of Bradley and Bourbonnais either, but there may be some opportunity if you guys could interface with Willie Hunt, who used to be a school resource officer and came through the ranks, and I think he worked Kankakee City for about 24 years in terms of addressing maybe one of the issues or one of the tools that you could use in terms of addressing that, because it's not a magic wand, as you indicated. You don't have the answers, but that may be one of the approaches you may take in terms of interfacing with him and dealing with these kids, because that's simply amazing. when you think about, you read the newspaper in Chicago about what's happening, and you're saying the same thing is happening here regarding teenagers with guns. So, maybe there needs to be some kind of summit on it. Thank you.
Well, and I do know that lots of us that work in the juvenile system have really attempted to work together with probation, GMRO, public defender's office. We really do try to see if there's something we can do to address it. We are open to suggestions. We all want to see our teenagers grow up safe. So I think we do the best we can. So that's all I can say.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, probation, Mr. Latham. In your package, you have a copy of Mr. Latham's report. Take a motion to approve by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Long. Morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Comments on your report, sir?
Just to go over the numbers I usually go over, you can see we had a little over 3,100 successful contacts in June. It puts us just under 16,000 so far this year. 25 adults on GPS, 4 juveniles on GPS, and we collected a little over 2,000 drug tests. Just to point that out. So, any questions on the report?
Questions on the report? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What you got for us, Tom?
Just a few things. Starting Monday the 19th, this coming Monday, the annex building will be open to the public. Finally, we got that done. I appreciate everything the chairman's done to help that process. There's a lot of hurdles to that, but we got it done for right now. That puts us back, our supervision standards, our department operations, our contacts, everything to pre-pandemic standards. And I can't say enough about our staff, how they made the last, 15 months now, I guess, 16 months, 15 months. The job they did to maintain the contacts they had to maintain. It was virtual, phone, getting out in the community, obviously then having people come in that for specific reasons, but they made everything work. And nothing fell through the cracks. And that goes to whatever was thrown in front of them, they dealt with it and we made it work. And they did a great job during this time. And they want that building open as much as anybody because they're sick of the hurdles and the challenges of trying to see people. So that'll be done. Also, what's going to be a big help with that is I think I discussed it last month. We are starting our public service work program. We're going to start monitoring that. We did it years ago. It left our office when we went through cuts. The courts kind of took it over. But we're taking it back, and we can really, I think, kick that program up a few notches and go out and recruit sites. And another thing we did is I didn't create it, but a website was created that you can go to, and it's a one-stop shop. There's actually a QR code that we're going to put on cards in the courtroom so people can scan that and go right to that website, and it has everything you need to know about public service work, all the documents and information, and it also allows nonprofits in the community to go on that website and request, we need workers. So we get it from them, we obviously look at it, and then we get it on the website and we can send out email and text blast to the groups. So things can happen quicker than, the 90s or 80s where you had to come into our office, we gave you the information, it's kind of, so I think it's going to work a lot better. It gives, some agencies that really rely on those workers, easy, simple way to request them and get them. So I'm waiting to, and on that website also is DUI, class information, counseling information, victim impact panel information, because a lot of those individuals getting public service work are going through traffic court with DUI cases and stuff like that. So there's a lot of more information on there besides just public service work. So we'll get that going. Hopefully that goes all smooth, but that'll start Monday next week. And that's, real quick, last month I did talk about pretrial services and the state wanting to possibly taking those positions over and us losing those positions here. So the state could the state could run pretrial supervision of people, especially when no cash bail hits in January 23. They still haven't made a decision. It's the battles between they take it over or the individuals like us. There's like 20 counties 20 counties in the state like us that have established programs, and we want to keep it local. The chief judges want to keep it local and have control over it, and not supervise remotely from a distance. They still haven't made that decision. My point of bringing it up again today is it's making it, we're going to have 3 vacancies in our office this next Friday, and we can't fill them because I scare people. We've had a couple applicants, when I meet with them, I had to tell them that if the state is waiting, we're waiting for this decision from the state, and if they make it and take it over, we lose his positions, you lose, you know. And so people obviously, you know, I scare them right out of my office. I mean, they leave. So it's really, they need a decision at the state level, and we need it quick because it's having other impacts on our office.
Trickle down effect.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because I thought this would get, by June 1st, we're gonna have a decision, and now we are middle of July, and it's just aside, you know, so. And I'll keep you updated on that. And lastly, Kelly, I think I sent an email about drug court graduation. Did I go? Okay. Sorry for the short notice, but that's tomorrow. I'm sorry, is today Wednesday? Yeah, tomorrow at 10:30 in courtroom 300. There's just 2 to 3 graduates.
Mr. Snipes.
Yes, just piggybacking from the your prior communication. Have you kind of been the ear of Senator Joyce and Representative Haas as to garnering the support and to argue it amongst the legislative body? That's my first question.
Yeah, and really this is, we have in the past, this is really an AOIC Supreme Court decision. They had a commission formed a couple years ago that put together a report, made recommendations, and you know, and that's what we're asking for a 4th. They had 3 options. We're asking for a 4th option B, which is we keep the program, but it's really in their hands.
The Illinois Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's really in this, you know.
So we've been the ear of the individual who represents this. Well,
I mostly go through the individual that's the head of AOIC for probation. I meet with them every month. I'm on a board with them, a policy advisory board for the Supreme Court. So we have an ear. You know, there's about 10 of us in the state, 12 of us in the state that are on that board. So we're able to have direct communication with the Supreme Court through that. And we have obviously discussions, like I said, all the time about it. But that's really the route this one goes. Is really, I think, that through our representatives to talk to the Supreme Court who will make that decision on how they're going to do it. So.
Anything else, Mr. Hunter?
Tom, let me just say, take my hat off to you regarding the public service initiative, and that could speak volumes about all the different villages and cities in the county receiving assistance which won't erode the bargaining units. I can just think in terms of the east side of the city and entryway. I was with Mayor Curtis, and we did some touring, and he's committed to cleaning up some things on the east side. And I wish you would, reach out to Dennis Doyle or the mayor, and provide them with the information as well too, face to face. Because formerly, when Carl was around, I mean, we saw those guys with their jumpsuits on doing a lot of good work. I mean, from the jail. Yeah. But this thing is a little different what you're talking about, but that's going to help too.
And we, just so you know, we did, the sheriff and I, Jim Rowe, we met with, it was Mayor Nugent and a couple of people, and he went to the mayor's meeting and brought all this information to the mayor. And I'm starting to get emails from different, they've turned it over to their public works coordinator. Yeah. Or directors, I should say.
Yeah, like Kankakee City, Dennis Doyle.
Yeah, and I got Mantino. So we're getting them from they've kind of signed their people to handle it.
Thank you. So thank you very much.
Mr. Snipes again.
Yeah, just one other thought. Those home monitoring devices, I had a conversation because I was wondering how are these youth able to, not a whole bunch of them, but some of them are able to get out of these home monitoring systems and put them on the neighborhood raccoon somewhere. And they told me that the monitoring device for juveniles are different than those for adults.
No.
They're not?
They're not.
So they did not have that correct information?
They did not have that. And any tampering, they're very sensitive. We should be able to, any kind of tampering of the device, we should know about. Now, there's some different adult devices used. Under the electronic monitoring umbrella. You know, a lot of adults, when I say GPS, some of these numbers in the adult world include alcohol monitoring devices. So if I have a device on, I can go about and do what I'm free to go anywhere I want, but it's monitoring if I have any alcohol intake. We have different ones where you have to, you know, blow into the monitor. You get a text, you have to blow into a track device, and it takes a picture of you. We get the, you know, those types of things. So there are some different, but if you're on GPS, we're watching where you go, monitoring where you go. That's the same device.
It's the same thing. All right.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
The sheriff's not here today. I would take a motion to approve his monthly report by Mr. Fairfield, second by Mr. Hunter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next is the coroner's office. Mr. Cavender. In your package you have a copy of the monthly report and monthly receipts of money. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Lear, second by Ms. Peters. Comments on the report.
Good morning, everybody. As you can tell from looking at our monthly report here, calls for service continue to be high. Our autopsies are still running high as well. We're averaging about 10 per month, whereas last year we were about 8. So we're continuing to monitor that. You will see that there are 14 pending cases. I think I mentioned last month when we were here that the lab that we use is very busy. And so that is resulting in a backlog for us as well as in terms of getting some of those cases completed. So you should see a lot of movement hopefully by the August meeting in the totals column and under some of the different manners of death there. There's been a discussion this morning about violence in our communities a little bit here, so I thought I'd hit on that quickly. In fiscal year 2020, we had 8 homicides in our county. And you'll see by looking at our report that we are at 6 confirmed for this year. But I can tell you that 3 of the 14 pending cases will be homicides. So as of July 14th, we've already eclipsed the total from fiscal year 2020 in terms of violent homicides in our community. So that's obviously concerning. We have half of a summer left, 4 months in our fiscal year left, so not a good trend to see there either. Just thought I'd mention.
Questions? Mr. Snipes.
Just 2 questions. The first one is with the COVID-related deaths. I saw that we're down, and then if I'm listening to the news, there was a day that they marked down 0. How was that in Kankakee County? Have we?
There, in the month of July, there have been no COVID deaths reported to us. Jasmine, I hate to put you on the spot, but I know you were working on it. Do you remember June? Was there 6? Maybe, I think 4 or 6 stands out in my mind for the month of June is what we reported.
I've got 5.
5? Okay.
Okay.
In the middle.
So. And with the new variant that's out, have we not heard anything about any deaths?
I don't know. I don't know anything about hospitalizations or case increases locally, but I can say there have been no deaths this month from COVID.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Mr. Collins.
With our homicide rate where it's at, just out of curiosity, I haven't looked recently. Do you have any idea where that puts us on par with Chicago's per capita homicide rate?
I have no idea.
Well, I know that in recent times, Kankakee has been on par or a higher murder rate than Chicago per capita, so that's just something I was curious if you knew the information.
I don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Fairfield.
I was just curious where you're at on your x-ray machine.
We've been in communication with that company. Next week, they told us when we ordered it, it'd be 3 to 4 weeks. So next week will be week 3, so hopefully by the end of this month. We haven't had to put the backup plan into place yet, so that's good. But hopefully within the next week or 2, we'll have it up and running and ready to go. So,
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What else you got?
In terms of overdoses, we're sitting at 25 for the fiscal year with 4 pending cases. Of the 25, 16% involve heroin, 56% cocaine, and 80% fentanyl. So obviously fentanyl is the big player. it is encouraging. In the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of phone calls from different community organizations and different entities wanting programs to start back up. So I know we're excited about that. Coroner Gessner spoke to the Dental Society of Kankakee County about 2 weeks ago. I'm meeting with a group of senior citizens today from Riverside Senior Life in about an hour. So we are excited to get back to that and start talking publicly about this problem that's going on locally.
Any other questions, comments for the coroner's office?
I have one more thing.
Oh, okay.
In April, one of our part-time staff issued his resignation. He'd been a member of our department for 6 years. He was promoted to fire chief for the city of Kankakee. In June, we posted the position, and as any department head or hiring manager would like, we ended up with multiple highly qualified individuals who were seeking it. In the end, we decided to hire 2 people, and those 2 people are Joseph Carney and Nicholas Jett. Joseph is a nurse practitioner. He has a master's and bachelor's degree in nursing from the University of St. Francis and has worked in healthcare for over 20 years. Nicholas is a registered nurse in the emergency department at Riverside. He has 6 years of nursing experience. And the thing that stood out with him for me was at the age of 24, they put him in charge of a 55-bed unit at the hospital. And that doesn't get given to anybody. So I think that speaks volumes to his work ethic and credibility. He has an associate's degree from KCC in nursing and is on his last class currently for his Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So I know that Coroner Gessner and I are both really excited to welcome them to our team, 2 more highly qualified, highly educated, highly skilled people to work with us and serve the citizens of the county. So,
And a younger generation.
yeah.
I hate to say it like that, but Mr. Hunter.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yes.
What was your
Mike, please.
Yeah. What was your recruitment strategy?
We went the traditional route. We listed through the county website. We listed on our website. I believe it was on social media as well. So just the normal avenues. I want to say we had everybody who met the minimum qualifications for the job we interviewed, and I want to say that was 8 people. So.
Did you guys have a prior working relationship with these individuals?
No. Some of our staff knew one of the individuals from the emergency department, but the other people, no, we did not. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you. See you in August.
Is there any old business to come before the committee? Any old business? Any new business to come before the committee? Mr. Snipes.
Just want to inform the individuals at 5 o'clock, they are having a press release on the Haley Lemonade law that was signed by the governor, passed by the legislators. And so I believe someone in the community has gotten together and they made her a nice lemonade stand, and they'll be presenting that and some other individuals. It'll be at 5 o'clock today, right in front of their home on Court Street, where she sells the lemonade. I thank Senator Joyce and some of the other ones. They had my little picture up in there because I was the one that wrote the actual law, gave it to Senator Hudson, and then Patrick Joyce and I believe Haas and them passed it through the House, and the governor has now signed it. So the lemonade law is now effective from, the only amendment was from 18, below 18 to 16 and below. So they'll be there. So if you have nothing to do, feel free to come out and celebrate and get a nice glass of lemonade. She's looking to be a gynecologist in her life, so we want to make sure that we don't kill a dream for a youth. So if you're not doing anything, please come out.
Thank you. Any other new business? Ms. Peters.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, and second by Mr. Eckhoff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion